Navajo rugs in Sedona. Sedona, she sniffed, is not authentic. Okay, Liz, let's give it a few more miles. He was looking at his gas gauge when Liz said, Dan! Baker turned back to the road just in time to see a shape flash by, a man in brown at the side of the road, and hear a loud thump from the side of the car. Oh, my God, she said. We hit him. No, we didn't. We hit a pothole. In the rearview mirror, Baker could see the man. We couldn't have hit him. He's still standing. Dan, we hit him. I don't think so, honey. We'd better go back. Why? Baker was pretty sure that his wife was wrong, but if they had hit him, and if he was even slightly injured, just a scratch, then it was going to mean a very long delay in their trip. They'd never get to Phoenix by nightfall. They'd have to take him to a hospital, or at least to the nearest big town, which was Gallup, and that was out of their way. I thought you wanted to go back, she said. I do. Then let's go back. I just don't want any problems, Liz. Dan, I don't believe this. Okay, I'm turning. Oh, Jesus. Baker pulled over and jumped out of his car. He gasped as he felt the blast of heat. He saw the man lying at the side of the road, trying to raise himself up on his elbow. The guy was shaky, about 70, balding and bearded. His skin was pale. His brown clothes were fashioned into long robes. Maybe he's a priest, Baker thought. Are you all right? Baker said as he helped the man to sit up. The old man coughed. Yeah, I'm all right. Baker looked around. Where's your car? There was nothing but flat desert in all directions. No car, nothing. How'd he get out here? Baker said. Come on, Liz said. We have to take him to a hospital. Baker helped the old guy to his feet. The man's clothes were heavy, but he wasn't sweating. In fact, his body felt cool. Baker eased him into the back seat. The man lay down. How was it possible the old guy was out here all alone, wearing all those clothes and not sweating? It was as if he had just stepped out of a car. Maybe his car had gone off the road. Baker didn't see any tire tracks, but he saw the old man's footprints in the sand. The footprints ran back away from the road to the rim of an arroyo, a ravine cut into the landscape. So he followed the footsteps back to the arroyo, stood at the edge and looked down into it. There was no car. Something white caught his eye. Baker scrambled down for a better look. It was a piece of white ceramic about an inch square. Baker picked it up and was surprised to find it was cool to the touch. He saw the letters ITC stamped on one edge, and there was a kind of button recessed in the side. He wondered what would happen if he pushed the button. Standing in the heat with big boulders all around him, he pushed it. Baker climbed out of the ravine and went back in the car. The old guy was sleeping. Liz was looking at the maps. Nearest big town is Gallup. Baker started the engine. Gallup it is. Halfway to Gallup, the old guy woke up. How are you feeling? Liz said. Fine. Just fine. What's your name? The quantum phone made me roam. But what's your name? Name, same, blame, game. Baker said, he's rhyming everything. I saw a TV show on this. Rhyming means he's schizophrenic. A nut by any other name would smell like feet. But his wife wouldn't give up. Sir, do you know your name? Call Gordon, the man said, shouting now. Call Gordon, call Stanley, keep in the family. But, sir, Liz, Baker said, leave him alone. Let him settle down, okay? We still have a long drive. How much farther? Don't ask. He telephoned ahead, so when he pulled the Mercedes onto the portico of the McKinley Hospital Trauma Unit, the orderlies were waiting there with a gurney. Baker was impressed by the petite, dark-haired woman who fell into step with them. I'm Beverly Sosi. I'm the physician on call. She was very calm, even though the man on the gurney continued to yell, Quantum phone makes me roam. Everybody in the waiting room was looking at him. Baker saw a young kid of 10 or 11, his arm in a sling, sitting in a chair with his mother, watching the old man curiously. Dr. Sosi said, How long has he been this way? Ever since we picked him up. Except when he was sleeping, Liz said. And you found him out past Corazon Canyon? About 5-10 miles beyond. Not much out there. They wheeled the old man through a swinging door. Dr. Sosi said, "I'll get back to you as soon as I know something. It'll probably be a while. You might want to go get lunch." Beverly Sosi had a staff position at University Hospital in Albuquerque, but she'd been coming to Gallup 2 days a week to be with her elderly grandmother, and on those days she worked a shift in the McKinley Trauma Unit to make extra money. Most days the trauma unit was pretty quiet, so the arrival of this old man, agitated and shouting, was causing a lot of commotion. They were cutting his jeans and the plaid shirt away. Nancy Hood, the senior unit nurse, said it didn't matter because his shirt had a big defect anyway. Across the pocket there ran a jagged line where the pattern didn't match. He already tore it and sewed it back together. "No," said one of the orderlies. "It's all one piece of cloth. Weird. The pattern doesn't line up." Nancy Hood turned to Sosi. "You want to try and examine him?" The man was far too wild. "Not yet. Let's get an IV in each arm. See if he's got any identification. If he doesn't, take his fingerprints and fax them to D.C. Maybe he'll show up on a database there." 20 minutes later, Beverly Sosi was examining a kid who had broken his arm sliding into third. He was a bespectacled, nerdy-looking kid. Nancy Hood came over and said, "We searched the John Doe. The only thing he had on him was this." She gave Beverly a piece of paper. It looked like a computer printout and showed an odd pattern of dots in a grid-like pattern. At the bottom was written MON.STE.MERE. Monstemmer? Does that mean anything to you? Hood shook her head. "You ask me, he's psychotic." "Well, better get skull films to rule out trauma and hematoma. Radiology's being remodeled, remember, Bev? X-rays will take forever. Why don't you do an MRI? Scan total body, you have it all." "Order it," Sosi said. "Oh, and surprise, surprise, Jimmy is here from the police." Dan Baker was restless. Just as he'd predicted, they'd had to spend hours sitting around. Finally, around 4 o'clock, when somebody finally came to talk to them, it was the cop. He was a young policeman in his 20s, and his name tag said, James Waneka. "Mr. and Mrs. Baker? I've just been with the doctor. There's absolutely no evidence he was struck by a car. I think you may have hit a pothole and just thought you hit him. Road's pretty bad out there." Baker glared at his wife, who refused to meet his eye. Liz said, "Is he going to be all right?" "Looks like it, yes." "Then we can go," Baker said. "Honey," Liz said, "don't you want to give him that thing you found?" "Oh, yes." Baker brought out the little ceramic square. The cop turned the ceramic over in his hands. "ITC," he said, reading the stamp. "Where exactly did you find this?" "About 30 yards from the road. I thought he might have been in a car that went off the road, so I checked, but there was no car." "Anything else?" "No." "Well, thanks," Waneka said, slipping the ceramic in his pocket. "Oh, I almost forgot." He took a piece of paper out of his pocket and unfolded it. "We found this in his clothing. I wondered if you'd ever seen it." Baker glanced at the paper, a bunch of dots arranged in grids. "No, I've never seen it before." "Any idea what it might be?" "No idea at all." "Well, I think I do," his wife said. "You do?" the cop said. "Yes," and she took the paper. "Yes, it's a church. Well, the floor plan for one. See, here's the long axis of the cross, the nave. See? It's definitely a church. And the rest of this image, the squares within squares, all rectilinear, it looks like, this might be a monastery. And what about the label at the bottom? MON.STE.MERE. Isn't MON an abbreviation for monastery? I bet it is." She handed the picture back to the cop. Waneka shook hands with them. "Thanks for all your help. Have a pleasant trip." Baker put his arm firmly around his wife's waist and led her out into the afternoon sunlight. She said, "Okay, I'm sorry." He leaned over and kissed her cheek. "Nope, you did the right thing. We saved the old guy's life." His wife smiled. In the hospital, the old man slept, his face partly covered by an oxygen mask. He was calm now. She'd given him a light sedative. Beverly Sosi stood at the foot of the bed, reviewing the case with Joe Naito, a Mescalero Apache who was a skilled internist. "This guy's got no signs of exposure, Joe. No dehydration. He isn't even sunburned." "You think somebody dumped him? Got tired of Grandpa grabbing the remote?" "Yeah, that's my guess." "And what about his fingers?" Joe asked. "I don't know. He has some kind of circulatory problem. If he wasn't found in the desert, I'd call that frostbite." Naito nodded. "And when he was agitated, what did he say?" "It was all rhymes, something about Gordon and Stanley, and then he would say, 'Quondam phone makes me roam.'" "Quondam? Isn't that Latin?" She shrugged. "And then they heard a voice say, 'Excuse me?' It was the bespectacled kid sitting with his mother. He wasn't saying quondam phone. He was saying quantum foam." "What?" "Quantum foam. He was saying quantum foam." They went over to him. Naito seemed amused. "And what, exactly, is quantum foam?" The kid looked at them earnestly. "At very small subatomic dimensions, the structure of space-time is irregular. It's sort of bubbly and foamy. And because it's way down at the quantum level, it's called quantum foam." His mother said, "He reads a lot. His father's at Los Alamos." Naito nodded. "Why would this old guy be talking about it?" "Because he's a well-known physicist," Juanica said, coming toward them. He glanced at a sheet of paper in his hand. "It just came in. Joseph A. Traub, 71 years old, materials physicist, specialist in superconducting metals, reported missing by his employer, ITC Research in Black Rock, around noon today." "Black Rock? That's way over near Sandia. It was several hours away in central New Mexico. How the hell did this guy get to Corazon Canyon in Arizona?" "I don't know," Beverly said, "but he's—" The alarms began to sound. The old man raised his head, stared at them, eyes wild, and his oxygen mask turned bright red. He made a gurgling sound. He was drowning in his own blood. An hour later, Beverly Sosi dropped down at a desk to write up the case summary. It would have to be unusually complete because the patient had died. Jimmy Waneka came up with a cup of coffee for her. "Thanks. By the way, do you have the phone number for that ITC company? I have to call them." "I'll do that for you. You've had a tough day." Before she could say anything, Waneka had gone to the next desk and started dialing. "ITC Research." He identified himself, then said, "I'm calling about your missing employee, Joseph Traub. One moment, please." He cupped his hand over the phone, and as casually as he could said, "Are you free for dinner, or are you seeing your granny?" "I'm seeing Granny. Just thought I'd ask." "But she goes to bed early, about 8 o'clock. "Is that right?" She smiled. "Yes." Waneka grinned. "Well, okay." "Okay," she said. The phone clicked, and he heard a gravelly voice. "This is John Gordon speaking." "Dr. Gordon, this is James Waneka of the Gallup Police Department. I'm afraid I have some bad news." Seen through the picture windows of the ITC conference room, the yellow afternoon sun gleamed off the 5 glass and steel laboratory buildings of the Black Rock Research Complex. Inside the room, the 12 ITC board members were having coffee while they waited for the meeting to begin, because the ITC president, Robert Doniger, had yet to make an appearance. John Gordon, Doniger's burly vice president, began to make his way toward the door. At one time, Gordon had been an Air Force project manager, and he still had a military bearing. Holding his cell phone to his ear, he said, "I understand, officer," and he slipped out the door. Doniger was in the hallway, pacing, while Diane Kramer, ITC's head attorney, stood to one side and listened to him. Clearly, he was giving her hell. Robert Doniger was 38 years old, a brilliant physicist and a billionaire. Despite a potbelly and gray hair, his manner remained youthful, or juvenile, depending on whom you talked to. ITC was his third startup company. He had grown rich from the others, but his management style was as caustic and nasty as ever. "Well, thank you very much, Officer Waneka," Gordon said. "We'll make all the arrangements." Gordon flipped the phone shut and turned to Doniger.
Traub's dead.